Today, we saw stocks coming down once again, and now the S&P 500 has broken a critical level. However, I also want to warn you guys, there's a new threat out here for stocks, which we'll talk about here in just a few moments. Now, as we come over and look at the fear and greed index, right now we're sitting at 30 and we're on the lower end of fear. Are we about to go ahead and push back over into extreme fear? And as we look at how the indices fared across the board, the Dow was the only one of the four indices in the green, up 169 points. The NASDAQ was down 121 points. S&P 500 down 3.85, with the Russell 2000 being down 0.65. However, when we look at advancing issues versus declining, it was pretty evenly matched. We only had 49.4% of issues declining on the day. And then as we come over and look at the sectors across the board, it was basically a mixed bag. Consumer cyclicals and technologies were by far outpacing everything else to the downside. Healthcare and real estate were the two leaders out there today. And now as we come over and look at the volatility index, we can see on Friday was up more than 10%. Whenever the VIX closes up more than 10%, then we expect the market to be up within the next 1 to 2 days. And today we saw the VIX up once again. You can see that late day push we had up, and early on, we also seen the VIX very, very strong. Then we jump over and take a look at the dollar index. Dollar index was on the move once again, forming a little bit of a hammer candle. And when we come over and look at the precious metal gold just barely ticking a new all-time high today before coming back slightly lower. Also, if you want to think about risk on, risk off, look at Bitcoin. If you guys trade crypto, pay very close attention. If Bitcoin breaks the bottom of this consolidation, Bitcoin's probably coming down to about 84,000, all the way down to about 77,000. Now, as we look at this headline right here, stagflation, a new threat to the stock market rally. And we've been talking about stagflation for quite some time. And the question now we have to start asking ourselves, are we now coming up on a period of time where indeed we could start seeing stagflation? Over the weekend, I shared with you guys this stat that going back the last 50 years, that every time the S&P 500 has been down the first 3 weeks of February, it has led to double-digit declines in the stock market. So now we got to ask ourselves, is that what we're in for right now? And as we look at the Russell 2000, this is not looking too good. We've had that push lower, a little bit of a consolidation. We bounced back up, but now we find ourselves where? Right back over near that lower swing point that we saw earlier this year. Now, as we look at this, we want to pay very close attention. If we start to firm up right here, then we could treat this as a double bottom, and we will most likely have some type of divergence playing out on the MACD indicator. Now, as we come over and look at the Dow Jones, keep in mind the Dow Jones was actually green on the day. And if we look at the low on Friday, that came in at 433.35. We look at the low today, it came in at 433.35. So we had equal lows out here, but we had a lower high. So essentially today's price action was nothing more than an inside day. And we were talking about this triangle up here for quite some time. Keep in mind, we had this large gaping gap out here from Friday as well. So we'll always start to see the Dow start to firm up, or do we look left and maybe, just maybe, now is the time when we're going to start coming down and filling some of these gaps that we have a bit lower. Now, as we come over and look at NVIDIA, coming right back to our anchored VWAP, NVIDIA down 3% on this session. We look at Meta. Meta's been rolling off that high as well. Meta down 2.26. And if we measure Meta from all-time high, roughly to the low point of today, Meta has been down 10.61%. Look at Tesla. Tesla also not looking very good. All right. If this low breaks, we're likely going to see lower prices. The question is it going to be tomorrow or will it be later on this week? We come over and look at the economic calendar for tomorrow, and at 9 a.m., we have the S&P CS Composite 20 HPI year over year. Then at 10 a.m., we have consumer confidence, followed by Richmond Manufacturing Index, and then we have a few FOMC members speaking throughout the day as well. However, where things really start to get dicey this week is when we start looking later on in the week. Thursday, we have preliminary GDP numbers coming out. We have durable good orders coming out. We have pending home sales coming out. We have more FOMC members speaking. But then on Friday, we're going to see on Friday, will the core PCE price index come in hotter, also leading more to the argument that, hey, maybe, just maybe, as things are starting to slow down, inflation is rising, that, maybe we do have a bit of stagflation. Now, I want to remind everybody, Apex right now is having an 80% sale off all their valuation accounts, passing as little as 1 day. Use the link in the description box down below and use promo code Mike. And if you're tired of all the BS, all the drama out there, and you want a prop firm where you can get daily payouts, you want to go ahead and check out Take Profit Trader. Right now, they're having a 50% sale off all their valuation accounts. Use code Epitome at checkout. And to check out any other prop firms that I currently am using, use the links in the description box down below. Now, when we look at the SPY real quick, notice on the daily chart, MACD indicator crossed to the downside. Now, we were watching this ABC pattern that had a completion target at about 616.12. However, since we broke below this lower swing point right here at about 598.30, that goes ahead and negates that pattern. That ends up being a busted pattern. I am no longer looking for that price target up above. So what I want to do now is I want to start pulling a Fibonacci retracement from that swing low right over here, right up to the recent swing high. And notice what we did today. We were able to get below that 61.8 Fibonacci level. The next stop really would be right around the 78.6 at about 595.43. Anything below that price point, watch out. We're probably going to do 100% retracement of that entire move and potentially go a little bit lower, because when we look left, let's not forget we have a gap fill all the way down here at about 582.11. Now, when we come over and look at the futures markets real quick, we start off looking at the 4-hour chart. You can see last night we had a little bit of a bounce up only to come back and roll over. And notice where we're coming down to. We're getting very close towards this next distribution area of the composite profile. Now, if we do start to get a more meaningful bounce out here this week, maybe we'll hit this point of control off the composite or even this structure breakdown point. But then as we start looking at the daily profiles real quick, notice we basically came right back down towards the low of the day after making it right up here towards the intraday, towards that intraday structure breakdown point. We came right up to it. Boom, the market failed. We came right back down. Now, as we look at the volume profiles, notice we are right near value area low, which will come in at 6,007.25. The point of control is going to be way up here at 6,043 and a quarter, and value area high is going to be about 6,045.75. So one thing to note, if you're looking to play a volume profile rotation trade on the way up today, then I would not want to go ahead and use the point of control as target number one. Instead, I want to use this distribution node right here, basically in the middle of value for that first target. And that would come in about 6,024 and a half. Now, as we come over and start looking at the QQQs real quick, notice the Qs absolutely getting destroyed out here today. And I need to go ahead and remove some of these patterns, like this ABC pattern right here is no longer going to be valid. We do have a larger ABC pattern, but if the Qs start really breaking below 509.97, that's going to negate that other ABC pattern up here about 543.93. Now you can see we've had quite a little bit of a pullback on the way down. Let's go ahead and pull our fib retracement real quick. Measure from the swing low right up here to the swing high. Just like with the S&P 500, we were able to retrace further than the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level. So now the question is, tomorrow, do we come down towards the 786? If we start breaking the 786 Fibonacci retracement level, that increases the probabilities we're going to come all the way back down here and undo that entire move. Then when we look left, in order to fill the gap lower, we need to come all the way down to 504.99. So again, we still have lower targets down below us out here on the NASDAQ. And we come over and look at the futures markets real quick. Notice we just keep going lower, 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 and lower once again. Now, if tomorrow's another negative day, out there for the stocks, then keep an eye on this high volume node on the composite profile. That's going to come in about 21,156 and a quarter. Then as we start looking at the 30-minute chart, notice at the end of today, we were able to close below. We were able to get back below the low intraday. And notice, right, we took out Friday's low, and today we essentially were down, down, down and away. Now, as I'm looking at this pattern, you can see that we are already below the swing point right here. So what does that set up? It sets up an A to B equals C to D pattern. This is going to be the A to B leg. The B to C leg will be the corrective leg. And then we have a price projection right down here towards about 21,290.45. So we're going to see, will the market make it down there potentially tonight or even going into tomorrow? Now, as we look at today's profile as well, I want to go ahead and clean off some of these drawings off the chart. And let's talk about some key levels. All right. Now, right around value area high, which comes in at 21,654.50, we also have a minus development area within the profile. Think about this as inefficiencies in the market, and the market loves to come back and repair inefficiencies within the market. Now, in order for me to want to play this, we need to get back above value area low, which really comes in about 21,445.00. Then we have the point of control up here about 21,603.00. Now, if I'm looking to play the rotation up tonight, meaning price starts getting above value area low, I don't want to target this point of control. Instead, I want to look for a quicker target. So I want to start playing the edge of this distribution right here. Maybe right around here would be target number one, somewhere around 21,511.75. Then the second target could be the point of control, and then all the way up here towards value area high. And if you guys would like to learn about why I think Take Profit Trader could be the best prop firm out there, go ahead and watch this video right here.